Hey, how's it going? It is your muscle building coach, Lee Hayward, with another live video Q&A for today, October the 27th. So what I'm going to do right now is hang out here for the next hour and answer any questions that you may have with regards to bodybuilding, fitness, building muscle, losing fat, any specific challenges that you're dealing with when it comes to your workout routine or your nutrition program. Anything along those lines, feel free to post your questions, comments in the video chat, and I'll do my best to help you out in any way that I can. First off, before we get into answering questions and stuff like that, I just want to make sure that the video stream is coming through loud and clear, that you can hear me, that you can see me, all that good stuff. It seems to be working fine from my end, but I want to make sure that it's coming through loud and clear on your end. So for those of you who are watching this live right now, can you just give me a little note in the live chat saying that it's coming through loud and clear? Just say it's okay, you can hear me, you can see me. Something along those lines, just to make sure that it's all good before we actually get going with your questions. So, all right, getting a thumbs up there. Everything's fine. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. So right now we have several people joining us live. Let's see what we got. People saying, "What's up?" Hey, man, it's a fantastic day outside. Where I'm to right now in Newfoundland, Canada. It's fall. I mean, it's supposed to be cold, but today is an exceptionally warm day. And before I got on this video chat, I actually went outside for a wog, half wog, half jog. What it was, I went for a jog first, and then I went for a walk with my wife and son in the stroller afterwards. So it was a great day, and I love being able to get outside and do my cardio like that. So I'm all pumped up, ready to go. Had lungs full of fresh air, and things are going great. So thanks for asking. Let me just jump back here now. The chat's coming through pretty quick there. All right. First question coming through. This one is from Sir Games a Lot All Day, saying, my thoughts on BCAAs, branch chain amino acids. I do believe in branch chain amino acids. I think that they can definitely be helpful for advanced lifters and advanced athletes who are pushing themselves with high intensity training. For beginners, intermediates, it's probably not that big a deal. I mean, it's not a must-have supplement. Let's put it that way. You know, you can train, you can make gains without using BCAAs. So if you're like on a budget and you're kind of trying to stretch your dollar to the max, BCAAs are not a must-have supplement. They're a nice supplement, but they're not a must-have supplement. Where I find them to be most effective is for people who are pushing the limits. So if, again, advanced lifters, advanced bodybuilders, advanced athletes who are pushing the limits, really tapping themselves when they're training. And what the BCAAs can do is they'll help to provide a very fast digesting source of readily available amino acids that your body can use for fuel during that high intensity training. For the rest of the day, like when you're just relaxing, doing low intensity activities, you don't need to have BCAAs. Just your regular protein is fine. But for when you're really pushing it and you kind of want that high octane fuel, if you will, for your workouts, BCAAs can provide that rapidly absorbing amino acids that will allow your body to be in a more anabolic state. Because what's going to happen is your body will utilize the amino acids for fuel rather than breaking down your lean muscle tissue to get those amino acids. So I definitely think there's purpose to them, but again, it's not a must-have. You can certainly make gains without them. Let's move on. Try and go through these quicker. Sometimes I get rambling on with questions, so I'm going to do my best to answer as many questions as I can here today. We got Mixie Tubes asking, what should I do to maintain my body since I'm going to a vacation? ND said the foods are not the best. No exercise gym, and I'll be there for 1 month. So anything I can go. Okay. Bottom line, you're going on vacation, and obviously when you're on vacation, you're not going to be eating the same. You're not going to have the same structure. You're going to be eating out in a lot of restaurants and whatever. Obviously, your workouts You know, if you have access to a gym, great. If you don't, then so be it. But what I would recommend, you can still keep yourself active. You can get outside and do cardio. You can do body weight exercises. There's still a way to work around it regardless of your situation. And what I like to do myself when I'm traveling, when I'm on vacation and things like that, is if your schedule is really busy, like you have a day of activities planned for whatever you're going to be doing, try and get up and do some exercise first thing in the morning. I mean, it could be get out, go for a walk, a jog, or some sort of form of cardio. It could be going swimming. If you know, body weight exercises are another great option, and it doesn't have to be anything complex. You know, push-ups, squats, pull-ups, you know, planks, sit-ups. I mean, you can do a lot of body weight exercises if you have access to like some playground equipment or something like that, where like monkey bars and things like that you can actually do pull-ups and different exercises on. That's great. But you can keep yourself active. I mean, on my YouTube channel, I have some body weight circuit routines that you can do. So there's really no excuse to kind of like let yourself go and just, you know, totally ignore your diet and training entirely. I mean, it's okay to scale things back, but you don't have to ignore it entirely. As far as your eating is concerned, I would encourage you to, you know, enjoy yourself food-wise, but try and control the portions. You know, be responsible, because a lot of times people, especially if they have access to like an all-you-can-eat buffet or something like that, they go overboard. And when you look at going overboard with your eating, it doesn't make the food any more pleasurable. I mean, once you eat to the point where you are comfortably full and you are satisfied, stuffing yourself beyond that doesn't make it any more enjoyable. And I'll give you an example. Like if you go to an all-you-can-eat buffet, let's say you have your first plate of food. I mean, that was really good. And then you say, you know what, I'd like to go back for a second. So you go back and you have some more, you know, a second plate of food. By that point, if you're a normal human being, you're probably feeling pretty full after a couple plates of food. Now, some people are going to be greedy and they're saying, hey, this is an all-you-can-eat buffet. I got to get my money's worth. So they're going to go back for a third plate or a fourth plate, or God knows however many plates you're going to jam down. Once you go to that limit where you're just eating for the sake of eating, the pleasure of eating goes down substantially. I mean, it's not fun anymore. You're just kind of doing it for the sake of doing it, almost like, you know, like a goal. It's like a competitive eater, if you will. You just want to see how much food you can tuck away. But not only is that just, you know, throwing empty calories or excess calories into your system, but it takes the pleasure away from it. And then afterwards, you're just going to be feeling like sluggish and lazy and everything else. So I recommend, when you're trying all these different foods, enjoy them, you know, experiment with and you know, take advantage of whatever the local cuisine is of wherever you're traveling to. But just control your portion sizes and be smart about it. Don't make yourself a pig and go to extremes and go to excess with your eating and drinking and all that stuff. So some simple tips, but you know what? The simple tips like that can go a long way into just keeping things under control. And if you can just minimize the damage, that's all. Just minimize the damage. Then when you get back to home and get back to your regular diet and training routine, it'll be that much easier to get back into your regular shape and everything else. So you don't want to have a point where you're just letting yourself go and becoming a fat slob while you're on vacation and then have to kind of like start back from ground zero again when you get back home. All right, let's move on. We've got several people joining us here. Joshua is asking questions. He says, do you think body weight training is enough to build muscle? I'm a beginner and limited to working out at home. Yes, you can build muscle with body weight exercises, especially as a beginner. And you know, I kind of just covered speaking about body weight exercises in the previous question, but you can certainly make a lot of progress. Before I got involved with weight training, I was involved with martial arts, and we did a lot of body weight exercises with the martial arts training, and that helped to lay a foundation for me before I ever got involved with weight training. So yeah, you can certainly make good progress. And if you want some sample body weight exercises and workouts, I mean, well, there's a ton of them on YouTube, obviously, but I have a full playlist up on my YouTube channel. Just open up the playlists. I mean, there's body weight exercises, body weight circuit routines, and even simple dumbbell workout routines as well. Because if you're training at home, if you're trying to like get away with the least amount of equipment possible, I mean, body weight exercises is technically the least amount of equipment you can get away with, but a set of adjustable dumbbells will go a long way. That will add a lot of variety to your workouts, and you'll be able to do so many more exercises and target and isolate different parts of your body if you have a set of dumbbells. And it's not that expensive. I mean, you probably pick up a used set of dumbbells for dirt cheap on, you know, some local classifieds, Craigslist, eBay, wherever. You can even go to, you know, department stores and pick stuff up. I mean, Walmart has a lot of fitness equipment cheap. I mean, I'm after buying a bunch of stuff at Walmart for my own home gym, like dumbbells and weight plates and things like that. A lot of times they're cheaper than any of the sporting goods stores, and you know, the quality is just as good. So yeah, you can certainly make do with minimal equipment. Don't let that be your excuse for not getting in shape, lack of equipment, because it's not the case. All right, let's see what else we have. Should BCAAs be taken after a workout or the carb? All right, should I take BCAA after workout or the carb? I recommend taking your branched chain amino acids before or even during your workout, depending on what it is. If you're taking like branched chain amino acid pills or capsules, you can take them before. If you're having like a powdered drink mix, obviously you can sip that during your workout. After your workout, if you're having like a post-workout shake or something like that, I guess that's what you mean when you say the carb. That really depends on what you're training for. If you're training to bulk up and gain size, then yeah, a post-workout shake can certainly help. If you're training for fat loss, I'd recommend skipping the post-workout shake entirely. That's what I do personally when I'm training for fat loss. And I find that period right after a hard workout, if you just let yourself go a bit longer without eating, you can really tap into burning stored body fat at a greater rate, because your metabolism is elevated. And if you don't put food in right away, your body will burn body fat at a faster than normal rate. So when I'm training for fat loss, I usually do my workout, and then I come home from the gym, I get cleaned up and everything else, and then I'll worry about getting, you know, my next meal prepared. And it's usually at least an hour or more from the time that I finish my workout to the time that I actually eat my next meal. And you know, if you do that over the long term, over the course of several weeks or several months, that little gap, that extra hour of, you know, I guess enhanced fat burning from where your metabolism is spiked from the workout to when you actually eat your next solid food meal, it can help to burn extra body fat. So again, it all depends on what you're training for. If you're, you know, skinny hard gainer looking to bulk up, hey, by all means, eat right after or have a post-workout shake right after. If your goal is fat loss, then I would skip it and just wait to your next solid food meal. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, just scrolling through here. I lost my place. I flicked my mouse and I accidentally scrolled up on the chat there. Okay, Sir Games a Lot All Day is asking another question. It says, I'm 16 years old. My mom usually eats small calorie things and sometimes unhealthy stuff. I have no power over what to eat. Any advice? Wait a minute. Your mom usually eats small calorie things. I don't know what small calorie things are. Candy, maybe? I don't know. Snack food. And sometimes unhealthy stuff. I have no power over what to eat. Any advice? Your mom's doing this. It's not you. Just because your mom chooses to eat snacks and candy or whatever these small calorie things are that you mentioned in your comment, doesn't mean you have to eat it. You do have power over what you eat. Now, granted, you are limited to, you know, you're 16 years old, you're living at home with mom. Obviously, you're kind of limited to whatever she brings in the house, but you know, you can make the best of whatever situation you're in, because I'm sure your mom is providing some good basic nutrition there, and you know, you're basically meat and potatoes and veggie type meals. I mean, you can choose to eat natural, unprocessed foods rather than, you know, processed junk food. So even if your parents are bringing in, you know, things that, you know, are not advantageous towards a healthy bodybuilding lifestyle, chips, candies, and junk like that, you don't have to eat it. I mean, you can choose to eat what you want. Now, I will say this, and I'm speaking from personal experience, because I started working out back when I was 12 years old, and obviously I was living at home with mom and dad at the time, and they were not bodybuilders or anything like that, so they didn't follow like a strict diet, and they would bring in, you chips and candies and cookies and all that. And when that stuff is in your face, you know that it's just in the cupboard, right? It's always in the kitchen, and it's always there. It's always that constant temptation. So you really have to dig deep and use some willpower to kind of force yourself to avoid eating that. For those of you who are, all grown up, living on your own, making your own food choices, buying the groceries and all that kind of stuff, the best advice that I can give you if you want to stick to a healthy diet is don't bring the crap food into your house. If it's not there, you can't eat it. And I mean, that's the single best thing I can tell you in terms of sticking to a healthy diet. Now, for this guy, Mr. Games a lot, obviously, when you grow up and you're out buying the groceries, you can use this advice yourself. But for now, you'll have to use some willpower and do the best you can based on your circumstances. But for everybody else, for those of you who are out there, I'm telling you right now, it makes a huge difference. If you want to have a cheat meal, then go out and have that cheat meal. If you want to have some treats, like you want to have some ice cream or some cookies or whatever, go out and have it, but don't bring it into your house. Have your house as like your little safe haven where you can know that you have a very supportive environment that's going to be inducive to your muscle building and fat loss goals. Try not to pollute it by bringing in crap. And if you do, like you're having a party or a dinner or something like that, only buy enough for that one, cheat meal or one event. Don't have, extras on hand that you're going to store away in the cupboards after. Again, remember what I'm saying. If it's not there, you can't eat it. So then even if you do get the cravings and stuff like that while you're home, then you're stuck with eating natural, healthy food rather than processed junk food. And again, it makes a huge difference to your overall diets and your ability to stick with it. All right, let's move on. Willie Freebody is joining us, and his question is, sometimes I hear you say that being heavy either makes deadlifts easier or harder. Which way do you consider it to be? When it comes to the deadlift, a lot of times, again, there's exceptions to all the rules here, but a lot of times you will see people who have a slim build being exceptionally strong at the deadlift. A lot of times you'll see that, guys. Like if you go to powerlifting competitions and stuff like that, very often some of the biggest, strongest deadlifters, I should say, the biggest weights, are from guys who have a slim build. Usually long arms is advantageous for deadlifting. So people who kind of have an ectomorph body type, that long, lean body type, are sometimes very good with deadlifting. When it comes to bench pressing and squatting, a lot of times having the shorter, stockier frame is more advantageous to those lifts. With a squat, if you have, you're short and stocky, you have a big midsection, whether it's a bit of excess body fat or it's just solid muscle mass just due to thick muscular development. If you are thick in the torso, that can be advantageous to squatting because it gives you a better base, and a lot of times people can even use that to help rebound out of the bottom of the squat. When it comes to bench pressing, a thick chest, short arms, it gives you better leverage with that lift. So that's why you'll sometimes see the different body types exceeding at different lifts. Someone who's a really good deadlifter may not necessarily be a good bench presser, and vice versa. So that's why I guess that's what you're getting at with your question when you're asking, with the deadlift, generally a slimmer build would be more advantageous. But again, it could be, there are exceptions. Sometimes you'll get someone who's really thick and stocky and be a good deadlifter as well. All right, let's see what else we got here. We got some people joining us from the wee hours of the morning. We got Amit is joining us. He says it's midnight in India. Well, thanks for staying up late and tuning in. Much appreciated. Daniel's joining us. Says, what supplementation should I be taking to maximize muscle growth? My view on supplements has changed a lot over the years, and I err on the side of minimal supplements. Because a lot of times they don't make as big a difference as a lot of people think. And I believe that money could probably be better spent on just quality food and, living a good quality bodybuilding inducive lifestyle. So when it comes to supplements, I recommend sticking to the bare bones basic. I actually have a video covering, I think, the basic supplements for beginners. But protein powder, right? That's one that I recommend for most people who are trying to, maximize growth, because it's a lot easier and cheaper to meet your protein intake needs when you're supplementing your diet with protein rather than just trying to get it all through solid food. So that's one, protein powder. Creatine. It's a cheap supplement and it works. Bottom line, right? I mean, it helps to increase strength and muscle fullness. It can help to keep your body in a more anabolic state. I recommend using creatine regardless if you're bulking or cutting. I mean, it can aid with muscle growth, but it can also help to maintain your muscle while you're losing body fat as well. So it works both ways. But creatine is another one. Some basic, multivitamin, multi-minerals supplements, just to ensure that you're meeting all the basic needs that you need for optimal nutrition. Another one that I recommend, essential fatty acids, especially the omega-3 fatty acids. I recommend everybody supplement their diet with some form of omega-3s, because the way it is with the modern diet that we're eating, we tend to be deficient in omega-3s. So it's good to help to keep an optimal ratio. And ideally, you'd want to have that 1-to-1 ratio of omega-3s to omega-6s, but due to a lot of the processed foods and vegetable oils and things like that that are used in a lot of foods these days, most people are consuming way too much omega-6s and not enough omega-3s. And this imbalance leads to a lot of inflammation, and it can lead to health problems down the road. So I recommend some form of omega-3, be it fish oil supplements, flaxseed oil supplements, or just foods that are high in omega-3s like flax seeds, flaxseed oil, hemp seeds, or hemp hearts, I think it's called, chia seeds, another good one. I mean, make sure that you're consuming these in your diet on a regular basis. Other like fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines, things like that that are high in omega-3s to help get those essential fatty acids that you need. What else? Another one that I would recommend for someone who's consuming a high-calorie, high-protein diet would be to have digestive enzymes and probiotics. And these can help to just optimize your nutrition. It makes the food that you eat, it helps to break it down and allows your body to absorb it and utilize the nutrients to a greater degree. A lot of people have digestive issues, especially as you get older. I mean, when you're younger, you naturally have more digestive enzymes in your systems, and that's why a lot of young people can get away like eating whatever they want, and they don't know anything about like heartburn or indigestion and all that kind of stuff. But the older you get, these digestive issues creep up, right? Heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. Sound like a Pepto-Bismol commercial. But all these things, taking digestive enzymes and probiotics can help to alleviate a lot of this and help to optimize the absorption of those nutrients that you're eating. Because simply eating food doesn't automatically mean that you're absorbing and utilizing the nutrition in that food. I mean, sometimes you can eat food and a lot of it can pass through not fully digested and not fully optimizing the nutritional value. So that's why I recommend digestive enzymes and probiotics. One that I like to use is Bioptimizers. I find that is one that I've actually researched, and it has the most protein digesting enzymes of like most of the generic digestive enzymes that you'll see in the grocery stores or in the supplement stores or wherever. So Bioptimizers is one that I really like, and I use them myself personally. So anytime that I'm eating a big meal, I make sure that I start that meal with a serving of both. I take both digestive enzymes and probiotics at the same time. All right, let's move on. What else we got? And we have N. Litorino. If I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I do apologize. His question is, Liam, 41 years old, 5'9", 200 pounds, looking for the best way to add muscle, but not any more weight. Do you have any thoughts? Yes, I do. What I would recommend, you're looking to gain muscle, but not gain body weight. So what I would recommend you do is set up your diet and your training as if you were training for fat loss. So, obviously you want to do regular cardio in addition to your weight training workouts. You want to have your diet structured in such a way that you would if you were literally trying to lose body fat. So clean, natural, unprocessed foods, controlling the amount of carbohydrates that you're eating. A good benchmark that I recommend for a lot of people is somewhere in the vicinity of 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of lean body weight, and about the same for carbs, 1 to 1.5 grams of carbs per pound of lean body weight. Fat around 0.5 gram per pound of lean body weight. That would be some good benchmark macronutrients. If you're following that, that'll give you approximately one-third protein, one-third carbs, and one-third fat in your diet, which I like to have that well-balanced macro split with a nutrition program. And keep your calories under control. So try and consume maintenance calories. And of course, you can adjust this based on how your body responds. I mean, obviously, if you're gaining weight, then, cut back the calories. If you're losing weight, then you want to bump them up a little bit. But treat it with that same mentality as you would if you're following a fat loss diet. And what you'll find is you'll be in a body recomposition phase where you are going to lose body fat, but at the same time you're going to be adding lean muscle, and it's due to the consistency with your training, consistency with your nutrition, and consistency with your lifestyle. I mean, still push yourself in the gym, still try and train with progressive overload and all that kind of stuff, but by doing so and controlling your diet, that's the key that's going to prevent you from that's going to either make you gain or lose weight or maintain your weight. Is controlling your diet. That is the one variable that you really need to focus on. So that's what I would recommend. Treat it just like a fat loss diet, but eat maintenance calories. Okay. GovBZade says, "Hi Lee, I want to know what is your opinion about girdle for working out?" Do you mean like a girdle as in like something you're going to use to, like the women use under their dresses to kind of suck in their guts or whatever? Modern day Spanx, if you will, to something to try and compress your fat to minimize, to slim down your tummy or whatever. I personally would not use it. I mean, if I'm going to use anything for working out for some sort of support, it'd be like a weightlifting belt or wraps or straps or whatever. But I would never use a girdle personally, probably because I don't need to. I mean, if I had a big old spare tire hanging over my waist, I might look into something like that. I don't know. But I think something like that would hinder your breathing and would probably make it harder to work out. So while it may temporarily make you look better because your gut's not sticking out as far, having the hindering of your breath and your breathing while you're training is not a good thing. So I would encourage you not to use it. Eric's joining us, Eric Yam, and he says, "What's up, Lee? You get BCAAs in your food, people." Okay, he's referring to the question I mentioned before about BCAAs, and he's absolutely right. You do get, if you're eating complete protein, you're getting all the essential amino acids in your food. The advantage of a branched chain amino acid supplement over solid food is that it's digested and absorbed so much faster. I mean, if you eat a piece of steak, for example, I mean, yes, the steak has all the essential amino acids in it, but you have to chew up that steak, your body has to digest it, break it down, and it could take several hours before you actually extract the actual amino acids from that piece of steak. If you take a branched chain amino acid supplement, like a branched chain amino acid powder, and you consume it, it's already broken down into its most basic form. It's already broken down into the 3 branched chain amino acids, and your body will just absorb that and utilize it so much faster. And the GD phone is ringing. I'm going to let the answer machine grab that one. Just a second, guys. All right. Sorry about that. Where were we? All right. Branched chain amino acids. All right. We covered that. Move on. Amit Joshi says, question, I am right-handed, 75 kilograms, 6 feet in height, 33 years of age. But we're getting all the stats. But where's the question? You gave me your stats, and then there was no question posted there afterwards. Okay. Maybe the question is later on. We'll probably pick it up later. MXI Tube says, what should I do to maintain my gain since I'm going from 1 month? I think we already answered that question, but the vacation question. Some of these I think are duplicates. Uh, all right, Connor's asking, how do I get big calves? High reps or high weight for big calves? All right, I'm going to be brutally honest. A lot of the people you see with the biggest calves, or for that matter, the biggest body parts, like if you see someone with great arms, for example, a lot of times it's not necessarily because they have some magical arm routine. It's because they're genetically gifted for that area. If you see someone with big calves, it's more often than not, it's not because they have some magical calf routine. It's because they genetically have big calves. You know, for whatever reason, they just have more muscle cells in that area, you know, more muscle fibers, and it just responds, right? And this is the case with a lot of body parts. If somebody has an exceptionally good body part, I mean, sometimes it's exceptionally good because they actually, you know, spent years and, you know, took a crappy body part and built it up. But more often than not, it's they were genetically gifted in that area. And then, of course, once they applied proper training and nutrition and everything else, that area just responded. So if you don't naturally have big calves, yeah, you're going to have to work to build, you know, any muscle in your calves. That's just the way it is. But when it comes to calf training, I would recommend quality over quantity, and frequency is another key. You want to have, you're going to make better gains in your calves if you do short, frequent calf workouts. The calves are very tough, very dense muscles. They can handle a lot of training volume and a lot of frequency. So I would recommend, if you're struggling with your calves, train them every other day. And it doesn't have to be any big elaborate workout. I mean, the calves are very simple. I mean, you know, they basically point and flex your toes. That's all. So it's you know, your foot, that is. So it's not a complicated body part to train. It's not like trying to train your back where there's all these multiple angles that you have to train from, or even your chest for that matter, you know, where you're going to do like incline and decline and flies and all this kind of stuff. The calves are very simple. You know, basically you're going to point your toes and you know, up and down. That's it. So you can do seated calf raises, you can do standing calf raises, you can do some body weight calf raises, but everything is just some variation of a calf raise. So it's a very simple area to train. But the key is the quality of the repetitions. What I would recommend is making sure that as you're doing your calf raises, that you use a weight that you can control. So a weight that you can go through a full range of motion and be in total control of that weight the entire time. So when you're doing calf raises, let your heels sink all the way down as far as they can go. Hold that for a second so you get a full stretch in the bottom, and then come all the way up onto your tippy toes. Hold that for a second and really squeeze your calves hard for a full peak contraction. And go through that, you know, full stretch, full peak contraction for every single repetition. And basically you can pump out to failure with your calves. So if you're doing standing calf raises, seated calf raises, or whatever different variation you're using, full range of motion, really stretch and contract your calves with every single repetition and rep them out to failure. And focus on the quality. And as far as the weight, that would be determined by your own individual strength. I mean, one of the biggest mistakes I see with a lot of guys is they use way too much weight. Like sometimes you'll see like little skinny guys putting the whole weight stack on the standing calf raise machine, getting in there, and they're doing these little tiny bobbing, bouncing reps where they're just kind of like bouncing in the mid-range, not going through a full range of motion at all. Half the times they probably even got their knees bent, so it's like a semi-squat calf raise bounce under the machine. They're kind of just gyrating under the calf raise machine with full stack, and you know, that's not doing diddly squat. I would much rather you take like a quarter of the weight stack, right, and just, or even your body weight for that matter, and do proper repetitions going through that full range of motion, full stretch, full peak contraction, and just, you know, as far as reps concerned, I would recommend shooting for at least 10 or more per set. But that's going to vary because when you're doing these slow controlled movements, you're not going to get as many repetitions in terms of numbers, but the time under tension is going to be just as long, if not longer. So don't get hung up and saying, oh, I only got 10 reps on this set or something like that. Instead of that, just think of the quality and the time under tension. That's what's going to help to stimulate the calves. And of course, the frequency. You know, train them every other day. So, you know, one day on, one day off, one day on, one day off. And I mean, you can throw in some calf work at the end of any training session. It doesn't matter what body part you train. I mean, you train chest. Hey, before you clue it up for the day, go over and do a few sets of calf raises. You know, your next day you're in the gym, you know, before you clue it up, just finish off and go over and do a few sets of calf raises. And where you're training calves frequently like this, I would recommend pick one movement each time you train and then vary that movement each time. So like day one could be standing calf raises. Day two could be seated calf raises. Day three might be, you know, leg press calf raises, or maybe like a single leg body weight calf raise or something like that. And each time you do them, just change up the exercise variation. Have, you know, 2 or 3 in your, you know, in your little routine that you're following. And so over the course of the week, you're getting, you know, 3 or 4 little mini calf workouts each time, doing a different exercise, really focusing on the quality, and that will stimulate your calves and help to maximize growth. All right, let's move on. Okay. Okay, some people are replying to that, the whole high reps versus heavy weight debate. I mean, when it comes to weight versus reps, both of them work. I mean, if you want to have both types of training in your workout routine, you know, obviously you want to have some heavy compound lifts in there for heavy weight, low reps. Then for your isolation and some body weight exercises, that's a great time to include some lighter high rep training. So it's not like is one better or worse. It's, you want both. You want heavy and high reps. Okay. All right, a question. I do not want to take whey protein. Is it possible to build muscle with natural protein sources? Yes, absolutely. You don't have to take whey protein or any protein powder for that matter. All protein powder is a convenient source of protein. There's nothing magical about it. I mean, if you're getting, let's just say you want to consume 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day, you know, the typical bodybuilding benchmark guideline. If you consume all that through solid food, that's great. You know, I mean, you can still build muscle, make gains through solid food protein. If you want to consume a portion of that through protein supplements for either convenience, to help save money, or just to add variety to your diet, then that's great as well. As far as, you know, the gains you're going to make, it really doesn't matter. I mean, you can make just as much gains eating all solid food as you would if you had a combination of food and supplements. The one that I would not recommend is to consume all your protein through supplements. I think that would be a mistake, because there's a lot of nutrition in solid food that you're not getting through supplements. I mean, if you buy a protein powder, it's isolated protein. You know, it's not all the other vitamins and minerals and essential fatty acids and things like that you would get through solid food protein. So again, use supplements just as that, as a supplement to your diet. Don't think of it as a replacement. But again, to answer the question, no, you don't need protein supplements as long as you're meeting your protein intake needs through solid food. My right, this is, sorry, Chandon's got a question saying, my right pec is smaller than my left. What do I do? Please suggest. I've got videos up on YouTube talking about this. You know, one arm bigger than the other, one leg bigger than the other, one chest, one pec bigger than the other. Most people have some imbalances between their left and right sides. Yeah, that's pretty standard, pretty common. If you were to actually break out the tape measure, measure your right arm, your right leg, your left leg, all that, and go down, chances are you would see some imbalance. Now, for some people, it's only a small imbalance. For others, it's a bigger, more noticeable. But it's very common to have an imbalance, because, you know, most of us are dominant in one side. You're either right-handed or left-handed, and because of that, that impacts the way that your body is going to respond to training. I mean, if you are right-handed, I mean, you're going to be doing a lot of your daily tasks and chores with your right hand, and there's a better mind-muscle connection with the right side of your body. So that will have an impact on the way that your body responds to weight training exercises in the gym when you're lifting with both limbs simultaneously. What I generally recommend for anybody who has an imbalance is to try and do as many single limb exercises and as many exercises where you're lifting with both sides independently. So like using dumbbells instead of barbells, using independent machines such as hammer strength machines versus regular machines, or like the Smith machine or something like that, where both sides are pressing a single weight. If you can have each side independent, then you're forcing the left and right sides to handle an equal workload, and over time that can help to balance things out. But you have to realize, even if you're doing all that, training with dumbbells and single limb exercises and stuff like that, you may never fully correct that imbalance. I mean, it might just be the way your body is. I mean, genetically, you might have that imbalance, and that, like I say, you can minimize it, but you may never totally get rid of it. And I'm a prime example of that. I mean, I have, if you look at my measurements, I mean, I have one calf bigger than the other calf, of one arm bigger than the other arm, and stuff like that. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. I try and minimize it to the best I can, but that's just the way it is. And I mean, there's been several famous bodybuilders the same way. I mean, if you look at old pictures of Arnold Schwarzenegger, look at him doing a front double bicep. His right bicep is bigger than his left. Jay Cutler, another prime example. He has one excuse me, one arm bigger than the other, one leg bigger than the other. And a lot of pro bodybuilders are the same. You can see the imbalances in their physiques. Now, I mean, they're still, you know, world-class bodybuilders, professionals and everything else, but they have these imbalances. So, I mean, if a Mr. Olympia competitor can't get rid of a muscle imbalance, then the odds of, you know, Joe Blow, you and me trying to get rid of it, then it's pretty slim to none. So a lot of times it's just make the best of it and, you know, learn to accept it, basically. Okay, let's see what else we got. I gotta get a sip of water. I've got a frog in my throat here. Excuse me. Water time. Carlos has got a question. Says, I'm thinking about becoming a trucker soon, and I was wondering if you have any suggestions for how to stay fit and healthy on the road. Do you know if truck stops have gyms and healthy foods? That's going to vary depending on where the heck you are, because every place is different. I mean, obviously, there's probably going to be some places that have access to, you know, a nice, healthy, nutritious menu. There's other places it's just going to be a greasy spoon. As far as gyms are concerned, if you're stopping into a city or at least a big town, chances are there's going to be a gym of some sort there. You can still stay fit, you know, on the road. I mean, they're, like say, buy day passes at the local gyms and work out. You know, a lot of hotel gyms, hotels have gyms, I meant to say. Another option that you have is when it comes to your food, you can keep a stash of healthy food on hand. So, I mean, when it comes to like a lot of your meals, you don't always have to rely on what's available at the restaurants or whatever. You can make better food choices. And a lot of places these days are getting better at having healthier food options available. I mean, even places like McDonald's, I mean, they offer healthier options. Like you can go in there and get like a chicken salad and stuff like that. So, I mean, you could literally stick to a fat loss diet and have a meal at McDonald's. I mean, granted, it's not going to be a burger and fries meal, but it could be like a chicken and salad meal. So a lot of places these days are more accommodating to healthier eating and healthier options, but not always. I mean, if you're on the road as a trucker, I mean, God knows where you're going to end up. You could end up in some little Timbuktu town and they're still like stuck back in time, right? I mean, you know, with just no healthy food options available. You're just eating the greasy spoon menu and whatever. And of course, probably no gym options available. But again, you can do the best, make the best of your situation. So what I would recommend in that case, for fitness, obviously try and work out at some local gyms if possible. If not, have some exercise equipment on hand. I mean, you can have like a set of rubber fitness bands, such as like the Body Elastic bands. These are adjustable tension rubber fitness bands. And I mean, you can do some workouts pretty much anywhere with those. I remember a few years ago, we went on a big long camping trip. And obviously, when you're out camping, you don't have access to any gym equipment, but I took the rubber fitness bands with me. And everywhere we went, I got a workout in every single day by using body weight exercises and rubber band exercises. So, you know, don't use, I guess, lack of a gym or anything like that as your excuse. It's kind of like I mentioned before with the question where the individual was asking about going on vacation. Same idea. You know, you make the best of whatever situation you find yourself in. All right, let's move on. We have Ivan. Geez, I still got a frog in my throat. Excuse me. I apologize for my coughing. Ivan's got a question. He says, love all your stuff, Lee. You've helped me so much on starting my fitness journey. Question, what is the best exercise for shoulders? I feel that it is a lagging body part. This is a question that I really don't like when people say, what is the best exercise for blank? It'd be whatever body part, chest, back, shoulders, arms, calves, because there are so many exercises and they all have, there's advantages to them all. What I would recommend for shoulders, the best thing that I can recommend is to train your shoulders in balance and to realize that the shoulders are made up of three main muscle groups. You have the three heads of the deltoids, front, medial, and rear delt. So you want to train all three heads. That is the most important thing for developing a complete, well-balanced shoulder. The one that gets neglected the most is the rear delts. A lot of people either just, it's out of sight, out of mind, or they don't think about including that in their workouts until it's too late, until they're running into shoulder issues and muscle imbalances. So make sure that you train all three heads of the deltoids, especially the rear delts. If there was one area of your shoulders that you could probably slack off a little bit on, it would probably be the front delt. And the reason for that is because your front delts get worked indirectly as a secondary muscle group whenever you do any pressing exercises. So if you're doing bench presses for your chest, you're doing flies for your chest, you're doing work for your triceps, even close grip bench presses or a lot of tricep extension work, the front delts come into play as a secondary muscle group for a lot of those pressing exercises. So if you didn't want to do as much volume for your front delts in your shoulder workouts, that would not necessarily be a problem, because again, you're going to make up for it when you're training your chest, because again, it's going to bring in the shoulders as secondary muscle groups. As far as side delts, side lateral raises, whether it's with dumbbells, with machines, with cables, I mean, that's one of the best exercises you can do to really isolate that side delt. As far as rear delts are concerned, face pulls, bent over, dumbbell flies. You can even use various cable exercises to really isolate the rear delts, like using cables for shoulders. Part of the reason is because it allows you to keep constant tension on the muscle at all times, and it allows you to go through a greater range of motion than a lot of dumbbell exercises. For example, if you're doing like a side lateral raise with a dumbbell, you only have tension from a lot of tension, I should say, from the second half of the movement. Whereas if you're using a cable, you have tension right from the start all the way to the top, because the way cables are set up, you have tension throughout the entire range of motion. It's not just based on gravity pulling the dumbbell down. So I would recommend, in fact, if you want, I have a video show some good cable exercises for shoulders. It would be a really good one. If you just go to, I can't remember the name of it now, but if you go to YouTube and search for like Lee Hayward shoulder exercises or Lee Hayward cable shoulder exercises, you should find it. As far as mass building moves for the shoulders, you definitely want to include some sort of overhead press. Like the way my shoulder workouts typically go is I'll start off with some sort of mass building move like a shoulder press, be it a barbell press or dumbbell press, and then I'll get into all those isolation exercises that I mentioned before for each head of the deltoids. And if you do that, then you basically have yourself covered. So as far as shoulder presses are concerned, it could be like a military press, dumbbell press. I personally like to do my shoulder presses standing. I find that you get more muscle activation when you do a standing shoulder press versus a seated shoulder press. Anytime you can do exercises where your body is more unstable and still do them safely, of course. So I don't want you to, start exercising on wobble boards or on Bosu balls or something like that to try and make yourself unstable. I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to like standing versus seated, where you're actually engaging more muscle in your body, where you have to actually activate your core, and there's that, you're in a more three-dimensional environment versus the safe and secure planted on an exercise bench or on a machine. Anytime you can put yourself in that three-dimensional environment, you have to engage more muscle. So you're probably going to find it more demanding to do a standing shoulder press versus a seated. And I think anytime you can make the exercise more demanding, it's going to deliver more results. So I would recommend doing that for your shoulder presses. And then for your isolation work, really focus on quality over quantity. You know, I'd rather use lighter weight, stricter form, and train the muscle rather than using heavier weight and swinging and end up using momentum to complete the exercises. All right, and if you want some more information about that, like I say, just head on over to my channel, and in the playlist section, I actually have a full playlist covering shoulder exercises that you can follow. All right, let's see what else we have. Piper joining us. Piper Lape saying, I'm 63 years old, avid weightlifter. What are your thoughts on testosterone boosters? Hit and miss. Some testosterone boosters can help, but you know, like various supplements and stuff like that. But quite honestly, at 63 years of age, I would recommend that you go talk to your doctor, get your hormone levels checked, your testosterone levels, your thyroid hormones, your growth hormone, all the major hormones, get them all checked and see where you are. If you're in the normal range, then you know that's great. And of course, you can, if you want to supplement with some sort of testosterone booster, such as like ZMA provides vitamin and mineral support for testosterone production. Different supplements like Tribulus, and there's a whole bunch of other similar ones like that that can help to aid with testosterone production. They can help, but they're not. If you have low testosterone, it's not going to fix the problem. Basically, a supplement like that is just going to help to optimize a normal testosterone level. If you have low testosterone, you've went and got blood work done and it's shown up that it's low, I would recommend hormone replacement therapy, especially for someone, in their 60s and beyond. I mean, at your age, your testosterone is not going up. It's just going to gradually go down and down. And hormone replacement therapy can be a great option to help not only to make you feel better and live a healthier, stronger lifestyle, but it can, maintain your muscle mass, improve your sex drive, make you have more energy, more appetite. I mean, it helps all the things that your body's supposed to do. Hormone replacement therapy can just help you to maintain that longer. Because, I mean, as we age, we just gradually go into that downward spiral where everything starts to deteriorate and, your quality of life starts to diminish. Whereas hormone replacement therapy can help to, prolong the good years that you have left. And I know of several people personally who have went on hormone therapy, hormone replacement therapy, not just for testosterone, but for, growth hormone or thyroid or whatever, whatever hormones they were deficient in. And it's made a world of difference. I mean, they just say it's been like night and day. They feel so much stronger, so much more energetic. They've lost body fat and they gained lean muscle, and everything just seems to, it's the closest thing we have to the fountain of youth, right? So if you are in that stage, I would recommend looking into that. And of course, do so under a doctor's supervision. Get your blood work checked and figure out what the best solution is for you. Okay, moving on. What do you think about full body routines like Steve Reeves' classic physique workout? That's from Timarolus. What do you think full body routines? I'm a fan of full body routines. I mean, when it comes to workouts, there's no right or wrong way. There's no like one program's better than the next program. It really depends on the individual, their situation, and all that. I mean, there's a time and a place for full body workouts. There's a time and a place for body part splits. There's a time and a place for deloading. There's a time and a place for everything, right? But when it comes to full body workouts, the thing I really like about them is, first off, it's going to force you to really focus on the basics. Where you have to train all your major muscle groups in one session, you're not going to be, I guess, wasting your time with non-important exercises. You're going to try and get the best bang for your buck when it comes to the movements you do. So you're going to focus on a lot of the big major compound lifts. I like the fact that you can train your body parts frequently. And so, for example, instead of doing a body part split routine where you're hitting each major muscle group once a week, with a full body routine, you're probably hitting each major muscle group 3 times a week. Granted, the volume and the exercise selection is not the same, but you're hitting them with more frequency. And I like that. I've made some of my best gains have been with full body routines. When I kind of look back over the years, some of the routines that kind of stand out in my mind as being very effective, some of them have been full body routines. One, for example, is the 20 rep squat program. I mean, that is a killer workout routine. Even though it's based on squats, you start each workout with one set of 20 rep squats, and then each workout you try and add 5 pounds to the bar and still get all 20 reps, and you just kind of ride that wave for as long as you can milk it out. Even though it's based on the squats, then afterwards I would do some exercises for chest, back, abs, and stuff like that to kind of make it a full body routine. And that program, doing a full body routine based on the 20 rep squats, stands out in my mind as one of the best programs that I've ever followed. Other full body routines that I've used several different types of them. Sometimes they're strength based. I remember a while back I did a power training program that was based on squats, benches, and deadlifts. So it was basically power lifting. And every single workout 3 times a week, I would squat, bench, and deadlift. And I would alternate the order. So like day 1, I'd start with squats and then do benches and deadlifts. Day 2, I'd probably start with benches and then do deadlifts and squats. And day 3, I'd start with deadlifts and then do benches and squats that way. So I would alternate them. So each day I could start with one of the 3 power lifts when I was fresh at the beginning of the workout. But I found that simply doing that, focusing on the 3 power lifts 3 times a week, that was a very effective program. I made great gains with that as well. So again, there's definitely a time and a place for full body workout routines. And where I personally like to use them is if you're in a mass building phase where you're trying to pack on muscular body weight. I find that they're very effective for that. If you're getting ready for like a bodybuilding competition or something like that, I like to use a body part split routine where you can really isolate each muscle group individually and kind of make sure that you're getting a more well-balanced routine and you're not neglecting anything. But if you're really trying to just simply pack on some meat on your frame, full body routines are very good for doing that. Okie dokie, what other questions have we got? All right, we got Carlos is joining us back. He's the one about asking about becoming a trucker and asking about truck stops. Look, I'm not a trucker myself. I don't spend a lot of time on the road, so I really don't have. I'm not the guy to ask about truck stops and what they have and what they don't have. His question here is: do you know if you can cook food at truck stops or at rest areas, your own food, cook like meat, chicken, fish, etc.? I mean, I guess you could bring your own portable stove, like a hot plate or whatever, and then literally cook your own food. I mean, I've done that before. I mean, you can buy like a little butane stove or something and take it and cook with it, at a rest area. I mean, you can get a little plug-in stove. I mean, I've done that before. I mean, I remember competing. One time I was competing in a bodybuilding show. It was the Atlantics, and I stayed in a hotel, and of course I never had access to an efficiency unit, but I had a hot plate, and I would cook all my own food on the hot plate. And all a hot plate is, if you don't know, it's just a plug-in burner. It's just like a burner you have on a stove. It's just like a single burner, and you plug it into the wall outlet. And I cooked on that. So I brought my pots and pans and my food and my hot plate, and boom, I cooked all my own food in the hotel room. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I can't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to do that if you were on the road. But again, as far as questions about truck stops and what's available, again, I'm not a trucker, so I'm not the man to ask. Okay, Sean is joining us, and he says, "I'm 44 years old. Do you think I'm too old to get rid of fat and gain muscle?" Heck no, you're not too old. I mean, I can guarantee you there are people out there who are just as old, if not older than you, who've started and made some awesome progress. And I mean, if you want some real world motivation, just get on YouTube and like search for, 40-year-old bodybuilders, 50-year-old bodybuilders, 60-year-old bodybuilders, whatever. I mean, you will see examples of people from all ages who have, who are taking action and getting results. The whole idea, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too whatever, that is, it's really just an excuse, and it's just self-doubt in your own mind. The truth of the matter is you're never going to be as young as you are right now. So if you want the ideal time to get started, it's right now. Because if you don't start now, then 10 years are going to roll by and you're going to be 55 or 54 years old, and you'll be saying, geez, I'm 54 years old. Am I too old to get in shape? And then you'll be kicking yourself in the ass wishing that you had started back when you were 44 years old. So, regardless of how old you are, start now, right? I mean, you still got a lot of years ahead of you. You got a lot of years of life ahead of you, and you want to make the best of them. So, don't get hung up in thinking I'm too old, or vice versa. People who say I'm too young or this and that. Start now. All right, guys, I'm going to get ready and clue it up soon, because we have been going for an hour, if not more. And I know my wife is waiting for me. We're going to have supper together, so I'm going to get ready to clue it up. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your questions. I really appreciate your support, and I do enjoy doing these live video chats. So I'm going to do another one of these next week, and the next live video chat that I do is going to be a Facebook video chat. That's kind of a little pattern that I'm trying to get into here. I want to alternate doing a Facebook video chat and a YouTube video chat. So if you're not already following me on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page, just head on over there and search for Total Fitness Bodybuilding, and you'll find it. And make sure to like that page. And like I say, you keep up with all my posts on Facebook. I post a lot of stuff on Facebook when it comes to like workout routines and notifications and videos. And plus I take some Q&As over there as well. But my next live video chat is going to be a Facebook chat, so I will talk to you there. In the meantime, have yourself a fantastic weekend, and I look forward to chatting to you soon. Over and out.